Hi everyone, I'm Kshitij. This video is about a custom component that I built to show the Salesforce record history in a timeline view. In this video, I'll show you how to configure this component in the Lightning App Builder as well as how to use it. Let's switch to Salesforce. As you can see, I'm already in the Lightning App Builder. I'm on the contact record page. I have this contact history tab here, so now I'll add this custom component. I'll search for history. So the history timeline shows up. I'll drag it in the middle section. And you can see on the right hand side there are a few things I need to configure for this component. Let's go one by one. First one is title. I'll put the title as history. Now the second one, the label is mouthful, but basically what it means is I need to provide the API name of that field on this object, which can give me the ID of the record for which I want to see the history. Now to put it simply, let's say if I'm on the contact record, I want to see the history of parent account associated with this contact. So in that case, I can put the API name of that relationship field as account ID. And now as I want to see the history of account object, I'll put the API name of the history tracked object as account, as well as API name of the history object as account history. Now once I click away from this text, you can see it renders the data. Now this is nothing but history of the account record associated to this contact. Now let's say if I want to see the history of this contact, this contact itself in the component, I'll have to make some updates to these three parameters. So first thing I'll do is I'll replace the account ID with ID. That way it will point to itself. And because now I am on the contact and I want to see the history of contact, I'll update the history tag object API name as contact, as well as API name of the history object as contact history. Now you can see it has re-rendered, refreshed, and now the data is showing up is the history of this contact object or contact record. Now another parameter to configure is first level grouping type. So by default it's set to date, and you can also see the top level grouping is done by date. This is in a descending order, but we can also do grouping by users or fields. So let's select user. So in this case it will do the top level grouping by users. This will be useful, let's say if you have multiple users updating the same record. And you can also do the grouping by field. And the grouping done by user and field is actually in ascending order, while the grouping done by date is in descending order. Let's switch back to date. Now there is one more parameter to configure, says show date table format button. So once I check this, there's a button that appears next to this search bar. I'll tell you in a bit what it does. And then there is final parameter, height of the timeline content. It's set to 600 pixels, and that is because the content is scrollable. But you can also leave it blank in case if you want the height to grow based on the content that shows up in the component. I'll save this and let's go back to the contact detail page. Now as you can see, this component the timeline component is similar to the out of the box component, where you can expand or collapse these top level sections as well as these subsections. Also, the data that shows up in subsections is grouped by the actual timestamps. So as you can see, for this third subsection, these four fields are updated in the same transaction. That's why they are grouped together, and it shows who updated the field and when it was done in the relative time as well as the actual timestamps. Now let's look at the buttons that we have on the top here. Refresh button, in case if you want to manually refresh the data in this component, you can use this refresh button. Then there is expand and collapse subsection, so which will basically expand and collapse the subsections. And then there is this view in table format button. So what this does is it will take me to the related list, out of the box related list for this history object. So once I click on it, it will take me to the tabular format, which is nothing but the out of the box related list available in Lightning for this object. Let me go back. And then there is this final feature for search. So as you can see, for this record I have lots of history created already, and if I want to quickly check how many times my email was updated or any field was updated, so I can search for that field here. I'll type email, and you can see it filters the data for how many times the email was updated. It shows me the old value, new value, as well as the timestamps. This covers all the features for this component. The link to the source code for this component is available in the video description. There is also another link available to a blog post which will give you some additional details about this component. And finally, if you have any questions, comments, or any feedback, you can put that in the comments. Thank you.